Let's be real, about 60% of the people watching this video are about one paycheck away from the path to Toji Fushiguro. Sure, my guy may be the absolute peak of human condition without any shadow of a doubt, but if we can all share the same godly physique of Toji without relating to his money problems, life would be a lot easier than it is right now. Currently, there are over 582,000 people in the US who have experienced homelessness. That's the average population of a mid-sized city without a roof over their heads. It's easy to think that this is a distant problem because I mean, you're on YouTube right now watching a video about homelessness in the comfort of your own home, probably eating a full course meal. If that isn't clear proof of your distance between them, maybe you should take your opinion and tell us in the comments below. After all, perspective is reality, and maybe you can change our minds with your unseen point of view. Just make sure you like the video, or you'll have to face the wrath of not seeing this video you spent 30 seconds of your life not go viral. That's a fate worse than how Magneto did Wolverine at the end of episode 10 of X-Men 97. Feel free to check it out at your own risk. There's no direct answer to the homelessness epidemic, but what we can take from it are two things. First, it's inconvenient. Being begged by some guy that smells like he hasn't taken a shower since the launch of StarCraft isn't the most pleasant way to start your day as you open the door to Starbucks for your morning coffee. Second, it's proof that the constant rise of expenses from food to shelter to basic healthcare is no longer just affecting the lower class population, but all brackets of the United States. Just like the saying, where water flows, civilization grows, as stated from your history teacher, where the homeless congregate is where problems escalate. Though the quote I made shows my twisted sense of humor and creativity, it does make a point. There was a time where you wouldn't see a homeless man in the financial district or in middle and high class suburban environments. Now it would be surprising if you wouldn't see a homeless person within the first 5 minutes of a shopping district. It's easy to tell them to just get a job, but have you considered what that would mean for them? The most obvious is an increased cost of living, with realtors asking for roughly 3 times the average US yearly income for a studio apartment. So would finding a minimum wage job that pays pocket change really be an option? According to the National Low Income Housing Coalition, it would take a minimum wage worker 96 hours a week to afford a 1-bedroom apartment at a fair market price. That's corporate terminology for a price that benefits your landlord. That means realistically, you would need 2.5 jobs to just keep a roof over your head. So taking this into consideration, who's getting screwed here? The homeless or the people who are locked into thousands of dollars of debt, living paycheck to paycheck, hoping for a lucky break? Sure, you could say that everything has a cost, and if you're unwilling to pay, that's your problem. This is true after all.
And facts don't care about your feelings.
I mean, no one asked for them to pick up a needle and spiral into their untouchable status. Addiction is a choice after all. From coffee that 90% of the world consumes, to the cannabis we spend our hard-earned cash to unwind after a hard day. We all choose to be addicted to some form of substance. For some, it's simply out of habit. Others, it could be advantageous towards their mental well-being. And for few, they simply can't live without it. Literally. Studies have shown that those who go cold turkey on substances such as alcohol, heroin, meth, and other dangerous substances go through some nasty withdrawal effects. Some that are so severe that a person can lose their lives just by trying to make a change for the better. Seeing addiction from this perspective makes it understandable why Felice Johnson thought booty was more important than food.
In his prison, booty was more important than food. Booty. A man's butt. It was more, I'm sorry, it was more booty, having some booty was more important than drinking water, man. I like booty.
So now that I've flooded your consciousness with the legendary philosophy of the booty warrior, I think you're ready for the truth. Just like how Neo, through many trials and tribulations, finally could see the world for what it really was and become the one, you too, throughout heaven and earth, will become the homeless one. Alright, enough of the wordplay jokes, let's be real for just a minute. From theft to murder, history has proven that man will do whatever it takes to survive in the environment we live in, regardless of the consequences. So of course, the homeless are no exception to this rule. There are plenty of examples of the acts of terror this portion of the population commits in the name of survival. Though the root cause may be mental illness, we cannot deny that if he or she was not placed in a situation where they would feel the world is against them, the stories of Targets and CVS's being raided and boosted and vicious murders of the innocent at the hands of the unarmed citizen could have been prevented. Just like a 9 to 5, being homeless is a full-time job, meaning every decision you make could be a battle between life and death. This was a common understanding when we were forced to survive with nothing but our tribe and our wits in caveman times. However, we often forget that this primitive mindset still resides in the background, ready to take the reins of our decision making if our needs are not met. Maslow's hierarchy of needs states that in order for a person to thrive, they must have the following: a sustainable source of substance, shelter, clothing, and sleep. Be healthy, employed, own property, and sociable. Have friends, family, intimacy, and connection to their tribes. Develop confidence, achievement, and a sense of self. Inherent morality, creativity, and purpose. All of these requirements to live a proper human life is impossible, as homeless people face constant dangers to others within their community, are uncertain of when their next meal will come, and have tattered, smelly, and unusable clothing. They are also looked down on due to their status, along with the societal paranoia of uncertainty of their mental state. This pretty much means that any chance for a helping hand or employment is damn near close to zero. No one wants to touch an untouchable, which means they're likely starved of human connection, real friends, or family. Knowing this, it's obvious that they would feel no connection to the environment they live in. With all these qualities in mind, it is easy to understand how daunting of a task recovering from homelessness truly is. So how do we not see hundreds of dead bodies littered across the street on a daily basis? Well, that's because they've created their own society, their own utopia, a place where the homeless can reside with as little friction with outsiders as possible. In California, they call them tent cities. In Portland, Oregon, they seem more like shanty towns than tents. And in New York, there are dozens of parks, underpasses, and abandoned houses and apartments that would hold the homeless population. This ecosystem the homeless have created is a direct example of Maslow's hierarchy. Some of them have jobs like stealing, selling, and communicating. Others have roles to secure the environment they live in. Some just live in these makeshift communities, honestly, to stay away from the rest of the population and the dangers of being exposed to opportunistic homeless people who do not care who they need to harm in order to stay alive. They've even managed to tap in to some extent with the immigration community as they face similar hardships. The homeless immigrant duo favors one another, as the homeless steal goods to earn payments from the immigrants, while the immigrants receive product normally too expensive to buy at the price that you would likely spend on a breakfast sandwich. I literally saw one guy sell a PS5 for $50. Even if you weren't an immigrant, it would be impossible not to contribute to the madness if your local crackhead is selling the product you can't afford for 20% of its actual value. It may sound crazy to say this, but the resilience and creativity to survive as a homeless person can actually be utilized in our lives as citizens of our respective communities, cities, or states. Take that business idea you came up with at breakfast one day. What is likely holding you back is the same thing that is stopping the homeless from moving up. It is your unwillingness to lose what you have for potential gain. If you are homeless, the worst thing you could lose is your life. So if you were truly to reach the bottom, to truly experience hopelessness and despair of your situation, with your wits being the only opportunity for a different path, your motivation to find a way would be lit ablaze. So much, in fact, you would be kicking yourself after reflecting that if you had this much work ethic when you weren't homeless, that dream of vacationing at the beaches of Punta Cana wouldn't seem so distant after all. Take Khalil Cumberbatch, a man who, after spending years in prison to then be released on the streets of New York, overcome all of his adversaries, becoming an advocate for criminal justice reform. Originally from Guyana, Khalil immigrated to Queens, New York with his mother at a young age. As any mother would want, this would be to give her son the opportunity for a better life than she had. Unfortunately, this was thrown away after immigration officers caught up to him, not only charging him for robbery, but with alienation to a different country. Thankfully, he was not deported. However, he still received an 11-year sentence for the initial crime. Instead of being resentful and grieving over what he could or should have done, he took the opportunities recommended to him by an OG, someone who had spent a long time in prison, to learn about criminal justice and pursue a better life once he was released. Now he uses his position as a leader of criminal justice and immigration justice reform to help other immigrants who have faced similar hardships overcome a life of crime and transition to become a contributing member of society. Khalil's story tells us that even if you are a major fuck up, even if your life is in shambles, Even if you're not the person you want to be at this very moment, all it takes is a single definite action towards the path of redemption to completely shift the course of a person's life. Though this can work in your favor or against you, depending on how one goes about it, it is certain to conclude to an end. There will be many people you will encounter. Some will wish the best for you, others will wish the worst for you, and some may even wish death upon you, but few will actually give you a helping hand. Regardless, what is certain, what is definite, is your decisions and the choices you make, but they will shape your reality. You do not need to spend time in prison to understand the point I'm trying to make. There was a quote that I've learned in making this video that I will make sure to use in my personal life that I want you to experience as well. I would even say that if you were to take nothing away from this video, I ask you to at least internalize the words spoken by Johnny from the Skin Deep channel. All links will be placed below.
I'm young, I don't even have a mustache yet, and one of the people runs by me and says, CO, like they're in my cell right now and they're like taking everything, my TV, my commissary, I need help. So the correctional officer says, man, you better get out of here, man, and go get a knife like everybody else. Don't come back over here. I had two epiphanies right at that second. One, I better get a knife like everybody else, And then two, I can die in here. Like this is like, I'm in prison. Like I'm here. Like this is it. This is not camp. There are no swimming pools here.
The beauty of the past is that we can reflect on it in times of sorrow, but some of those reflections still curse us to this day, reminding us of our inadequacies. The gift of the present is that it is now, a direct moment where you have the ability to shape the fabric of reality with your choices. The consequences of receiving this gift, however, is the weight of responsibility of those choices. The hope of the future can inspire and give visions of success to a brighter present for a person. The burden that all who bear in mind of the future, however, is an equal and opposite fate of its alternative, the image of failure. Take your life seriously for a change, but there are unbound potentials within you that the world, yourself, your community may be missing out on. So, with all that in mind, thank you for listening.